Rats.
Hi, everybody. This is Tammy Patzer, and I'm really excited to introduce you to Licia Berry. I'm going to get your name right here. Licia Berry. And I'm really excited. Oh my goodness. I don't know about you, but this has been such a wonderful, wonderful day for I Am Her Daughter, the
Yeah.
book. It is a story in itself. Earlier today, we were live and we had, it was just like a casual conversation. And we were talking about the power of I Am Her Daughter, the book, and about the book tour coming up.
Right.
And I am not kidding. I think it was 11:47. I went and I was checking my international sales, and oh my goodness, number one in Canada. And so it was like, take screenshots. And then something really interesting happened. I was checking one of the other categories, which is a tough category. It's spirituality. And oh my goodness, there is I Am Her Daughter at number 17. And right next door in number 18 was the Dalai Lama's book. So I was like, oh my God. And so I took a screenshot. And of course, I'm relaying this information to Licia. And she's like, are you kidding me? And I said, yeah, it's true, believe me. And then I went and I checked Germany. She's ranking in Germany. I went and checked the United Kingdom. She's ranking in the United Kingdom. I went to Australia. And I Am Her Daughter is ranking in all these countries. Some in German, it's kind of hard to tell because it's in German. But she was in the top, I think she was 77. And she was in the top 50, just all over the world. So congratulations. You are an international best-selling author. And this is not over yet. It's only 4:07 Eastern time. So we still have time because remember, out west, where, Hawaii's 7 hours and in Los Angeles, 3.
True.
But the cool thing is we only need a few more sales, and Licia Berry is going to be number one in the United States. Right now, she's number 2. and I did the math. I thought I'd never say this, but I actually have done the math, and I know it literally is about 3 book sales away from pushing us in to that number 1 category because of the way Amazon's algorithms work. Here I am, I'm talking all mathematical, but it's very exciting.
That's your job. I'm so glad you do that so well.
Well, I laugh because again, it is not anything. So I'm going to, of course, show, and I'm going to make myself smaller. There you are, international bestseller. And I'm so pleased that I could be a part of this because I Am Her Daughter. It's like this book takes a hold of you. It's so powerful. And you told the story a little bit in this morning's interview. And I want you to repeat about the story of when you published this book and then you kind of let her be, and then you realized that you couldn't do that. So tell us a little bit more about that.
Well, I mean, it's like I was just saying to a client a little while ago, the writing of the book, it's so much work. It's such an effort and a labor of love to write a book, right? I mean, it comes from your heart and your gut and your soul, and it's like, oh, it's big work. And then you publish it, which is big work too. And then you sort of think, okay, good. I'm done. I can rest. It's out there. But what happens is that book is there sitting on its own, And if you're not out there promoting it in some way and sharing about it and talking about it, it's just sort of abandoned. And that's what I did. I published it. I got bestseller last year. And then I went to France for 6 weeks and I was like, bye. I'm tired. I want to rest now. I want to have a vacation. And I just kind of forgot about it and left it alone and came back home and was sort of, there was sort of this, crickets, like there's something going, there's something missing. There's something I should be doing. I don't know what it is. And then realized I had abandoned the book and I had expected that the book was going to sell itself. That, this one little book, well, it's not a little book, it's a huge book, but that this one book was going to be out there talking on its own in a sea of millions of books, and that people would somehow hear this book and want to go buy it without me advocating for it was just silly. Of course not. And so I realized I had to promote it. I realized I needed to recommit, redevote myself to this very important message that I have in this book about women. And I believe in the message so much that I'm willing to do whatever it takes and get out there and talk about it. So thus, getting my allies and advocates together like you, Tammy, you are so amazing. Hiring good help makes all the difference to help keep you organized. And also because, like Tammy just said, she's good at the math and algorithms. I'm like, what? What is that? My job is to write the book. So I need somebody else to take care of keeping track of where it is on Amazon and, guiding me about, promoting and putting it out there in the world. So I'm just so grateful, for the allies and advocates I've had the good fortune to put in front of. And now I'm going on book tour and I am giving this book the due that it deserves. I'm talking and putting my money where my mouth is. So
I'm really happy to hear that. And what you just said is so important. The book, when you write a book and publish a book, that is not the end. Mm-hmm. That is the beginning. Mm-hmm. Because a book is a living thing. And I think you've discovered that.
It is.
And she will wait for you. And patiently, and it becomes part of you, and that's where I come in. I feel like I'm the messenger's messenger, that I'm like here to say, come on, let's get this book out, and to encourage you to go out and speak and to use your book as a tool that it is, because really a book is a door opener. And I think that you've experienced that at how people are so willing to welcome you and help you because of I Am Her Daughter. Tell us a little bit more about your adventure that you're about to embark on with this first leg of your big book tour.
Well, it was part of my part of the demonstration of my willingness, to speak on behalf of this book was to set up a national book tour. And so for 4 months, I'm going to be traveling the country, a month in the Southwest, a month in the Southeast, a month in the Northeast, and a month in the Midwest. And it's my way of showing the book that I'm taking it seriously. It's almost like it's like a child, it's progeny, this book is my daughter, strangely it is called I Am Her Daughter, but this adventure, as you call it, is absolutely an adventure, because it's going to be like walking into an alchemical container, for my growth. I've set up places to speak all across the country. I've set up multiple gigs with different venues. And I've got 4 different signature talks that I'm plugging in to the appropriate audience in each venue, that are all related to the book and all spring from the book as, relatable material. But this is an opportunity for me to expand my reach and grow my muscles, my public speaking muscles, my showing up as a support and servant in the world muscles. It really is. It's going to be an adventure in so many ways, personal growth, notwithstanding. So I'm so excited. I can't wait.
So tell me a little bit more about you're going from Tallahassee, Florida on
Yep.
I-10 through Texas or
Hmm.
Louisiana,
Hmm.
Texas, New Mexico, and maybe even to Colorado. Tell me about some of the events and the things that you're going to be doing
Sure.
and talking about. And tell me a little bit more about those four signature talks. The reason is a lot of people in our audience want to do book tours. They want to be speakers. They want to do live events. So if you can just touch on your topics and how you are using your book as your foot in the door opener or your
Yeah.
strategy to do that, that'd
Yeah.
be really interesting.
Sure. Well, again, I mean, so the book itself is about women stepping into their power, their true power. It's called "I Am Her Daughter: The Healing Path to a Woman's Power." So, that's a huge topic all by itself. It's themed around, healing ourselves after if we've had difficult relationships with our mothers, but upon further examination, once that personal healing is done, then we realize that there's a mother wound in the culture, that the culture has issues, around women, and that needs healing, that we need to become agents of healing, for the culture itself, and boy, especially now. And so the topics of my talks are around women's leadership, so I'm giving a talk in several places called Women as Visionaries, and that's about how women are uniquely suited to be leaders because we have a different biology in our brain and in our body, to be able to see a bigger picture and to see the impact of decisions on the whole, on the holistic view of the world. And so that's, women's leadership is one of the talks. Um, Another one is about embracing your creative voice and promoting your creative work, which is the natural outflow of being in your powers, that you suddenly are tapped into your creative flow. And then of course the next thing you want to do once you create is it's time to share it, give it to people. And so that's the second one. The third one is called Traveling Awake, and that's about being a woman who travels alone, journeys solo, a lot in my life. I've done that my whole life. In fact, it's supposedly my first sentence was, "I want to go on a trip." So I'm going to be showing slides of my trip to France. I'm going to be talking about Vision Quest and the adventures I've had as a woman traveling by myself and putting myself in the hands of the world, which is a good thing for women to do, because we sometimes find out that we're actually a lot more held and supported than we think we are. And then the fourth talk that I'm giving is about, it's called At Peace, Not in Pieces, which is about surviving trauma and using difficult circumstances to grow and turn bad medicine basically into good medicine in our lives that makes us stronger if we allow it, if we choose it. So all of those weave in really beautifully with the book itself and are completely and directly related. So it's not like I'll walk into a women's networking meeting, to talk about women as leaders, and then somehow I'm fooling them into buying the book, because the book really does talk about that. And, it is a natural outflow of the book. The same for all of these topics. So I could probably design a 24 talks just based on the material in the book. But these four felt applicable right now, and like they were hot in terms of the larger culture. And also they are appropriate for the places that invited me to come speak, to that audience in that particular location. So I've got, women's networking groups. I've got churches. I've got workshops for author organizations. I've got people who invited me into their living rooms to come do a book reading and a book signing. these are just some of the examples. And then the Women's Economic Forum, which is an international conference that this is the first one they've done in the U.S. They've been doing them around the world since 2014. And it's an opportunity to try a whole new venue for me. It's a TED Talk style format, and I'm going to be speaking on 2 stages, among those topics. So, these are just a smattering of the different, venues that I'm going to be plugging into. But it's nice to have multiple talks because then you can adjust to your audience. And I wouldn't be surprised if there are going to be some cases where I start with one talk, but then wind up blending in, another talk with it, just for the audience,
I really like this. You really thought of all of the different things that you need to do to speak to these different audiences. So you're going to be in Louisiana.
Yeah, Baton Rouge, Tucson, Phoenix, Sedona, Albuquerque, Santa Fe, Taos, and then zipping home through Dallas. And we were looking at something in Austin, but there's a possibility in Denver. There's a possibility in Colorado that I just haven't heard back yet about. So that's, so the Southwest tour will be done. I'll be gone a month, and then the next target is Florida and Georgia.
Well, I think that's really interesting. And also, we talked about this earlier today, but I want to revisit it because you actually created this entire book tour yourself. You recognized that I Am Her Daughter needed you to open up your speaking voice and get out there and start actually talking about the book. And you have a goal of you want I Am Her Daughter to be in the hands of at least 1,000 women. How's that going so far? I know that you said, I don't know if you've set a date, or what is that looking like for you right now?
My initial goal was June 1st to have it in the hands of 1,000 women by June 1st. And so I realized, it's always like, be careful what you intend, because having it in your hands means it has to be physical. So the Kindle version doesn't count.
Oh, you're not counting your Kindle. Oh, see, I would count that because in my world, in my hand.
Okay. So maybe I need to adjust that. In physical books, I've sold probably 250. Myself, sold that many to people, and I have 300 of them in my car, ready to roll in my minivan, to take across. And I have another order coming in New Mexico because I am anticipating I'll sell. That it'll sell well, at the talks, because people will be inspired, by what I'm saying, and they'll want a piece of it, a piece of me, and this is a piece of me to take home with them,
Yes, but I definitely, like I said, in the world today, digital tools, tablets, phones, and believe me, a lot of times the phone is in someone's hand.
You're right.
A lot. But I think that's interesting because it's such, like I said, the book really does grab you, and you can literally open this book up. I have a physical copy, thank you, but you can actually pick this book up, and even if you didn't read it from cover to cover, front to back, or like I often do, back to front, you can pick this book up and open it, and there's something of value that is going to talk to you on each and every page. And that's happened to me with it, because again, I live in this virtual real world where, to me, digital and physical paper, it's interchangeable, and to me. But I really think that
thank you.
Mission, you have this big message and a big mission, and you are a true woman innovator, and I'm really excited to be part of this journey that you're working on, because I know that, just like you said, different people have said, come, come and
Mm-hmm.
speak.
Mm-hmm.
And different doors have opened up, because I remember just a couple weeks ago, you said, I really want to do something in Albuquerque, but you didn't have anything lined up. And
Mm-hmm.
then all of a sudden, you're
Yep.
going to be at the Women's Economic Forum. And I looked that up online, and I'm going, hey, this is a pretty big deal.
It is a big deal.
So,
Cool.
not only did you get a speaking engagement in Albuquerque, you got a huge speaking opportunity in Albuquerque.
Yeah.
And just to let everyone know, I do actually know some people in the TV studios in Albuquerque, and I'm going to be talking to them about you, because you have everything. And I'll just give a little media lesson here while we're
Mm.
here.
Oh,
Um,
good.
when you're doing media, and we're talking about radio, television, newspapers, magazines, local is the big draw, especially for television. So even though you do not live in Albuquerque, you are coming to Albuquerque with local news.
Mm-hmm.
You are now hot local news in the Albuquerque market, because number one, you're an international best-selling author.
Mm-hmm.
You have a book, I Am Her Daughter. It's the month of May, which is Mother's Day month,
Mm-hmm.
and you're coming to participate in the Women's Economic Forum, all 100% newsworthy.
Yeah, that's
So
true.
your odds of being invited to do a television spot on an Albuquerque TV station have gone up
Mm-hmm.
tremendously. The same
Mm-hmm.
for Phoenix or Tucson or
Mm-hmm.
any Baton Rouge, any TV station. They love to speak with authors. They love to speak to people who are talking about issues that can be connected to hot things in the news or holidays. So,
Mm-hmm.
you were talking
Mm-hmm.
earlier about how women brains are different, how
Mm-hmm.
women are visionaries. Um,
Mm-hmm.
you can tie your themes very easily, obviously, to any event um, that's happening. And again, Mother's Day, and there may be other events happening in May that you might want to look at that can tie to the themes of your book, because the more themes you can tie to you when you're there in New Mexico and Arizona and Colorado and all those states, the more you make yourself into a hot media commodity. And again, you're on a book tour. That's
Right.
newsworthy too. Uh,
Right.
so I just think that you are a prime example for everyone watching, that if you're working on, well, how do I do this? You just got a really good case study presented to you, because you basically, Licia is basically saying, I decided, I made a decision that
Yeah.
I was going to do that. I made a commitment that I'm going to drive in my minivan with a bunch of books, and I'm going to just do it the old fashioned way,
Yeah.
right?
And it
I'm going
is.
to get out there
It,
and kiss babies, basically.
yeah. I don't know if I'll do that, but yeah, I love that you just brought that up, the old-fashioned way. I mean, yes, we definitely are gonna, we're using social media. Obviously, we're
Yes.
doing this live Facebook right now, and I will continue to be doing live Facebook and broadcasting while I'm on book tour, because that's a way of reaching people. But you just can't ignore that talking to people, you know, face to face and connecting heart to heart and being in the same vicinity. Even setting this tour up, I did a lot of phone work, and it's easy to just send a mass email and hope something comes back, but that's not where the really great connections happened. the great connections happened when I picked up the phone. And I have to thank, I've got some coaches that have told me this, and I want to thank, Nancy Matthews. She has said this over and over: pick up the phone, like, okay. And I'll tell you what, that made all the difference. Calling people, and you think about this later and you're like, oh duh, I'm asking to speak to their group, and it makes sense that they should be able to hear my voice before committing to allowing me to come, before inviting me to come speak. They need to hear my voice, duh.
Yes.
So yeah, like voice to voice, face to face, awesome, has to be done.
It's just like on television. Television begets more television. Why?
Right.
It's a visual medium.
Yeah.
They want to hear your voice. They want to make sure that you're not going to embarrass them. So even interviews like this, where you're speaking and you're giving some really good, succinct thoughts, a television producer could go, oh, okay, she looks good. She articulates well. And yes, she won't embarrass us on television. And
we hope not anyway.
These are things that, think about it. A producer in a TV station, they have a very hard job because they have to screen the guests for the show. They have to make sure that the topics are local, timely, relevant, newsworthy. And so they have to make all these decisions, and you're absolutely right. If you talk to people on the telephone or send them a video of you, that's why, for example, when you get on television and you get the clips of you being on television, you put those on your website, you put those on social media, so ordinary people watch and they go, oh, that's cool. But at the same time, you can use those to send to other TV producers, and they say, oh, okay, you're already vetted. You've already been on ABC, NBC, CBS, Fox, or CW, or whatever the station is. And it doesn't matter if it's in Albuquerque, or if it's in Baton Rouge, or in Sacramento, or Portland, or Denver. Those clips will get you eventually to the Today Show, Good Morning America, to the bigger shows and the bigger programs, because you have proven yourself to be a good guest. And if you want to I'll give you another tip.
Yeah.
If you want to be on a show like, let's say, Dr. Oz, which is a medical-based show, you take something out of your book and you've got it because you've got the healing part, and you just tweak it a little bit, watch some Dr. Oz and go, oh my goodness, I can connect my book to this, and boom, you could be a guest on Dr. Oz as the guest expert talking about, healing. And because why are you the expert? Because you wrote the book on it.
Right.
And they recognize that. So anyone who wants to be an author, really, people respect authors a lot. They really do. And authors, and it doesn't matter if you're self-published or if you're published by a big New York publisher or any publisher, the author has to get out and talk about their book. And that's live, on radio, on TV. Yeah,
that's what I've learned. Everything I've done is self-published, because I attended some grace put me in at a convention in 2007 before I wrote my first book. And in that convention, it was talked about the difference between traditional publishing and independent publishing. And it was said at that point in 2007. So this was 7 years ago. No, this was, oh my God, see, math, not my, okay. This is why I hired Tammy 9 years ago. that traditional publishing was on its way out. that the publishing world had changed so very much that publishing by yourself was really the way to go, because number one, you would have creative control of your work. Number two, you would get more money sold per book because you would be handling the sale of the book. And number three, that if you are picked up by a traditional publisher, you are still expected to do all the legwork. You're still expected to do all of your promoting and marketing and connecting to your social media audience and, getting out there and talking about it. And so, from the point of view of just pure practicality, considering, well, what's going to make the most sense? It really, it either way, you're going to have be out there and talk about it. But for independent publishing, it's a no-brainer. It's your baby all the way through from the very beginning.
And I think I'm glad that you said that, because often people think, oh, I have to have an agent, I have to have a traditional publisher. But you're right, things have changed so much, and the playing field has been leveled, and now people do have the opportunity to get their books out. And like you said, the reality is once the book is born, the author's job is to take care of it, because it is like a growing, living child. And you have to go out and you have to talk about it. You have to nurture it. You have to go show it off to the neighbors. you have to
pull out your pictures.
Yeah, you really do have to believe in it. And I see it all the time where people think that writing and publishing the book is it. It's, oh, I published a book, yay! Or even it becomes a bestseller in a very, it's that 15 minutes of fame type of a situation. But like I said before, that's the beginning. It's just like with the baby, yes, we're pregnant for 9 months, or actually 10 months. We have the baby, but that's really, we did a good job during that 9 or 10 months, but now we have to take care of that baby for the rest of its life. And a book, that's the beauty of a book, is that it will be alive and living long after we're gone.
Yeah.
And so you really are leaving a legacy. And if you do get 1,000 women, and I've heard this story before, and it's always amazing. People will set a goal, like 100 or 1,000, and all of a sudden the goal gets surpassed by 10-fold, 20-fold. And I've heard that. So even though right now you may think 1,000 seems like a huge goal, but you've already gone a quarter of the way there, right? You've already sold 250. So you only have 750 left. And when you hit 1,000...
Just the physical copies, though. I'm not counting the digital copies, so I got to figure that out, too.
But the beauty of, and the thing that I really like about your book, is 401 pages, and it's very tangible and beautiful.
Thank you.
If you look at the book, it's really, that's the thing about a book. It's beautiful. And the art. Tell us a little bit about the cover art and the other art in your book.
Well, I'm an artist, as well as an author. And because I really value whole brain communication, I like to communicate with word and image, because the right brain speaks in image and the left brain, speaks in words. So I would say that a lot of the words that I've come up with in my life, in books and in courses, have been inspired by art, that art that felt guided. This particular piece that's on the front cover of I'm Her Daughter is actually a collage that I made in 2006, I believe. That's okay. As I was working on my mother wound. So this piece of art actually is from my life while I was working on the subject of the book. I was living the healing at the time that I made that piece of art. So it seemed very appropriate that it go on the first, page on the cover, and then within, there's several other pieces obviously inside, um, that are all around the same topic about, how do we feel that we're a sacred daughter, if we have a difficult relationship with our mother, how do we feel like how do we allow ourselves to be daughters, if we can't feel like we have a good relationship with mother. And so this piece of art is about finding mother in a bigger way, bigger definition than the one woman that birthed us or the one woman that raised us, but kind of a universal mother, an archetypal mothering intelligence. And that's what that piece is about. And I don't know if you can see that there's sort of an optical illusion with this piece. Can you tell?
I see something going on with it.
So you see that there are eyes here.
Oh, yes.
And sort of a nose and a mouth.
Yes. I can see it now that you pointed out.
Okay. But then you see, the Kuan Yin there, which is the statue. The statue is Kuan Yin, and she's a goddess associated with mercy and compassion. But if you look, there's even a bigger mother than that on here. That's those larger eyes behind her that are speaking through her, and that's that archetypal mother intelligence that I talk about in the book.
Wow. So, right. Yeah, I say wow a lot. That's when I'm like literally speechless. So tell me, the book, I Am Her Daughter, we're actually celebrating her first anniversary or her first birthday.
Yeah. Her first birthday. Yep.
And right now, you've actually lowered the price for the Kindle version to $1.99.
Mm-hmm.
And here's some insider information about Kindle and Amazon pricing. The book is so big that Amazon won't allow it to be sold for less than $1.99 because that's just the way, Amazon dictates a lot of the pricing structures. But one of the things that's so cool about that is right now you can go to Amazon, download the book for $1.99. Of course, if you want the physical book or the paperback book, you can order that. And I think you can probably get it overnight. I know that I've ordered books with my Prime, and I can get my book sometimes the next day. And that's pretty fast. I mean, it beats driving for me, I have to drive 20 miles to go to a bookstore. So it beats getting in your car and driving to a bookstore because you can literally get it overnight. But you can download it and have I Am Her Daughter in the palm of your hand on a phone or a tablet, or of course you can read it on a Kindle. You can read it on your computer. That's one of the myths that I want to dispel. If you're someone who's just getting into digital reading, you don't need a Kindle. You don't need anything special if you have a phone, a smartphone, or a computer. You can read all of the digital books either on your Mac or your PC or on your phone or a tablet. So that's something. But again, there's nothing like a real tangible book that you can carry with you and read it, at your leisure. And definitely, if you're in the Southwest and, in Albuquerque, you said Baton Rouge, Louisiana, Albuquerque, Phoenix,
Tucson, Phoenix, Sedona, Albuquerque, Santa Fe, and Taos.
So Licia Berry, and again, we're going to, I think we'll keep up with you. And of course, you do live broadcasts on I Am Her Daughter pages. While I'm thinking about it, go ahead and give us all the ways that we can find out more about your projects, about where we can find the books and everything, since I've got you right here to ask.
Okay, sure. Well, obviously my website, liciaberry.com. And so that's one that, you kind of find it's the hub of everything. So that's LiciaBerry.com, LICIA Berry, BERRY.com. And then my Facebook presence is pretty active. I've got a page for my author presence because this is my 5th book. So that page is just Licia Berry, author, artist, and steerswoman. So that's a Facebook page. And then there's I'm Her Daughter, which has its own page because it wanted its own page. And we do a morning live every morning at 8:30 Eastern time, a.m. And me and the book, work together, and we talk, and sometimes I'll read from the book, and sometimes there'll be concepts that kind of blow your mind, that come through in those live, videos. You kind of just never know what's going to happen. It's actually kind of fun to show up every morning. And I'll tell you, here's an insider secret that I've discovered as a creative, as a person who has so many creative impulses that I have a hard time being consistent, and staying focused because there's so many things pulling on me that want to get made. Something about making that morning commitment every single day to show up on the I Am Her Daughter page at the same time is building some kind of muscle in me. I can feel it. It's like I show up whether or not there's anybody watching, and I do it even if nobody's watching in that moment, because somebody will later, somebody will watch it later. But there's something about and I guess that's why they call it practice. Like a spiritual practice. You do it every morning, you do it every day, and there's something that grows inside of you, a consistency and a focus and a core muscle that seems to be helping me towards this tour. It's giving me momentum. So that's a place that people can see me every single day. And then, of course, I'm on all social media. I'm on Instagram and Twitter and Tumblr and all those guys, all those social medias. But I think Facebook and Instagram are my most consistent social media.
That's really interesting that you say that about being consistent, because consistency is the secret.
Yeah.
If you were to ask somebody, what is the secret of success? It's really being consistent, of showing up and doing something and moving forward and believing that you're moving in a forward direction. Because think about it, you wrote the book, you published it, it became a bestseller, you went off and did your other things that you needed to do that are helping you grow, came back, listened to the fact that, hey, I wrote 401 pages about I Am Her Daughter with a big message and a big mission, listened, heeded it, and trusted that the right people would show up and help you. And now you've got a schedule. You're going to go, and no matter what happens, you've got it going. And in your mind, you're thinking 1,000 physical copies in someone's hands. But think about all the women you're touching each and every day. Like you said, even if nobody's watching at 8:30 in the morning, people do come and they watch and they share and they learn. And then maybe they'll share it, so one at a time, that 1,000 will grow. And pretty soon it'll be 10,000, 100,000, a million people, all with that legacy that you've started with I Am Her Daughter. And then you said that you've written other books also. And I know that you just put Soul Compost, that's SOUL, Soul Compost, at a special price for the month of April. And it's for what, sexual harassment or
Sexual Assault Awareness Month.
Oh, Sexual Assault Awareness Month.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
again, right there, that there's another opportunity for you to get noticed on media. And another thing that I think is really important for you and other authors, I actually did an interview earlier today where I had reached out to an author and I said, "Hey, would you like me to interview you?" And she
Mm-hmm.
said, "You are the first to reach out to me." And so my response was, you have to be proactive and reach
Yeah.
out to media,
Yeah.
just because people in media, and this goes for podcasts, newspapers, magazines, TV, any media, they're so busy and bombarded that literally it's that squeaky wheel syndrome. If you say to them, "Hey, here I am, here's what I have," and you give them something all beautifully packaged, guess what? It's going to be, "Thank you, come on the show." Because, like I said, local, newsworthy, relevant, hot topics in the news, you've got all that. And it's just a matter of, like you said, picking up the phone, sending videos, sending emails, following up, showing up consistently. So
Yeah.
that's showing up consistently is such a valuable lesson and tool. And I get exactly what you said when you were talking about you have so many things pulling at you,
Yeah.
because I live that life too, because I love all these different things. And sometimes I actually have to just say to myself, "No, you can't do that thing because
No.
you're focused on this." And that's actually when I started to become successful with the Women Innovators and the Women Innovators Radio, is when I actually started to say, "No, Tammy, you can't chase that shiny object. Focus on this."
Do you know, I can so relate to that, Tammy. I think of my creative projects as children, like I said before. And so the ones that haven't been made yet are the ones that are like, me, pay attention to me. I want to be made today, and I'm like, you talk about saying no, no, I can't work on you today. I can't work on you today. I have to work on this other thing today. It really is. It's so true. The things that pull on us. And I was just saying to that client that I was talking about earlier, consistency is the key, but there are things that happen, especially with women, I think, in utilizing our voice. Oh, Alex is going to get in the picture. Um, that prevent us from being consistent. There are things that we, that come up, like we're like, oh, I don't want to create a stir, or who cares about my opinion, or we may have survived something very challenging that really clobbered our voice, that prevents us from feeling free to just say and speak and show up. So, it's one thing to be practical and say, well, here are the practical steps that I've taken to create this success, and to create this book tour and that sort of thing. But before any of that could happen, I had to do all this inner stuff to make sure I could show up and be strong and be confident. And it's a constant learning curve. I get strong enough and confident enough to do this level, and then I have to do a little more work, and then I get strong and confident to do the next level, and then I have to do a little more work. So it's really, things come up to get in the way of that consistency, and those are those obstacles we have to deal with. We really do.
You're absolutely right, because that's part of the growth that
Yeah.
all of us have to go through. And many of us, we were taught that little girls or women should be seen and not heard. And
Right.
I'm also an introvert. I think you mentioned that you were an introvert.
Mm-hmm.
So and it takes a lot of energy to get out
Yeah.
there and hang out with people, talk to people, even
Yeah.
though the people may be very open armed and welcoming. It just takes a lot of energy. So I really understand that. So
Yeah.
I Am Her Daughter is available right now on Amazon for $1.99 in the Kindle edition. You're going on tour. Is there anything else that we want to remind people of? Make sure to watch Licia every day at I Am Her Daughter, 8:30 every morning.
Sure.
And go back and watch the replays. That's the beauty of the world today, is
Right.
we have the instant replay.
Yeah.
That's available. Is there anything else that you feel that you want everyone to know?
Yes, absolutely. Inevitably, as a result of this level of success, having a number two and a number one, and getting out there and creating a book tour, people are asking me how I have done it, and asking nuts and bolts kind of questions, like, I want you to teach me how to do this. And women are coming in and saying, I need you to teach me how to be confident, in promoting, like, overcoming those obstacles to actually being consistent. So on the Licia Berry author, artist, steerswoman page, which is my author page on Facebook, I am doing live series of videos about promoting your creative work, which is one of my signature talks, on this tour. And coming from the point of view of the inner and the outer work that needs to be done to be willing to really do a successful job on promoting your work. So you have been such a beautiful teacher and an advocate in that outer, work. Like, here's the things that need to be done, and everybody needs to hire you, to teach them, to help them along and be their ally and advocate in this process. And then this inner work that needs to be done is my expertise, something that I can really speak deeply to, which really is the topic of this book, the navigation of that inner landscape, and the reclaiming of a woman's power in a culture that doesn't always reward her for doing that. In fact, frequently dissuades her from doing that. So that's what I would suggest, that if this speaks to someone, that they go to the Licia Berry author page on Facebook, where I am offering live videos on a regular basis, a whole series on promoting your work.
Well, that's really fascinating, because that is something creatives
Mm-hmm.
have sometimes really do have trouble selling, because it's like part of them. And so
Exactly. Exactly.
it's so hard sometimes. And again, women especially have been taught that you don't ask. And so
Right.
they have to learn how to ask. And just like what you were saying about talking on the telephone and uh, saying, hey, I'm coming to your city or your town, and I like to speak to your group. Would you like that? And they're like, okay. Because you think about it, media, again, I'll go back to that before I let you go. Newspapers need to be filled daily or weekly. Radio shows need guests daily, weekly, or hourly. Podcasts need guests. TV news programs and talk shows need guests. So they need high quality authors and speakers to come on and help educate their audience. Because think about it, if we didn't talk about this, who would be talking about it? If you didn't write your book about your innermost feelings and your adventure or your life, your purpose, the whole purpose is to help other people. And that's part of the media's job, is to find people who have information that the rest of the world needs to know. That's the media's job, is to get it out there so that other people can have growth experiences. So,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
that's one thing
Mm-hmm.
I think is really important, is let your voice be heard and
Yeah.
get the help you need. You don't have to reinvent the wheel,
No.
because people
No.
like me and like Licia, we've already spent our lifetimes going learning all of this stuff, and so now here we are with all this knowledge that we can share. So again, Licia Berry, international best-selling author, and I just checked. We're still at number 2 in the United States, but it's only 5 o'clock. We're number 1 in Canada, so we have done well today with reintroducing I Am Her Daughter to the world, and we've given that little boost out there. And I certainly hope that it's been a good experience for you,
Oh yeah.
Licia,
Oh yeah.
on this adventure. So it's
Oh,
been fun.
just to be rubbing shoulders with the Dalai Lama is
Yeah, that is
I don't know what to
exciting.
say.
But that's another thing. The Dalai Lama, Dr. Wayne Dyer. Your book was right next to Dr. Wayne Dyer's. I have a screenshot of that.
Wow.
Oh, and Anderson Cooper.
Oh yeah,
And
I bumped
Ellen,
Anderson Cooper.
yeah, you bumped Anderson Cooper out of the number 1 spot in Canada, and you were right next
Sorry.
to Ellen DeGeneres' mother. She was number 3, and you were number 4. So I'd say, all in all, you've had a pretty good day in the Amazon bestseller rankings, because you have been right up there with big names. I mean, the Dalai Lama is probably as big as you can get when it
Wow.
comes to spiritual
Yeah.
things.
Yeah.
So
Oh my gosh.
congratulations.
Thank you so much. Oh my gosh, Tammy. I can't I'm having trouble getting used to the international bestseller word.
Well,
International bestseller. I'm like, wow.
this is something that I want everyone to know. It's real. I have the screenshots
Yeah.
to prove it. And Licia has experienced it all day long as it happens. And actually, the book started to move up earlier in the week. And so this is a real life experience. It's real, and every step of the way we document it. And something that a lot of people don't understand is Amazon is the largest bookseller in the world. Amazon.com has international platforms all over the world. And when we started, the book was like, it was out there for more than a year, or just a year. But because nobody had paid attention to it for a little while, it was probably at 200 and some thousand, if not higher. And when I checked it earlier, it was down to about 13,000 out of all the millions of books. So,
oh wow.
think about that. And in Canada, out of all the books in Canada, and Canada is obviously it's a smaller country population. It was it was 1,480 out of all of the books in Canada. So if you were to stack some books up, out of the million, it's hard to visualize 1 million books or 2 million books. But think about it, when you're in the top 15,000, that's pretty good in the scheme of things.
Wow, that is.
Congratulations
Thank
for
you.
that, because
Thank you.
I don't think most people realize how big Amazon is, or how many millions of books there are out there. And for you to climb, that puts you in a top 1%. Of books.
Wow.
So congratulations on that.
Thank you so much. I'm at a loss for words for once.
Well, that sounds like a good time for us to close out. Everybody, watch this interview. We dropped some gold nuggets.
That's right.
For you, both on the insider media exposure and on being a best-selling, international best-selling author. So talk to you soon. Bye, everybody. Thank you.
Bye.